Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you for organizing this hearing. The NATO summit in Vilnius is fast approaching, and I appreciate the opportunity to examine Allied priorities ahead of this very critically important meeting. I am privileged to serve as a U.S. delegate to the NATO Parliamentary Assembly, the Alliance's legislative, advisory body. At our spring meeting in Luxembourg, I was moved and gratified to hear firsthand from our transatlantic partners that the Alliance commitment to an independent, sovereign, and victorious Ukraine remains absolutely ironclad. Equally important, our NATO partners made it clear to us that they understand the need to put real skin in the game. And I know that this has been addressed previously, but as we discussed in Luxembourg at the NATO Parliament, spending 2% of GDP on defense should be a floor, not a ceiling, for each member of the alliance. And I hope that the United States makes that case to our partners during the Vilnius summit. The world is a safer place when NATO is strong, capable, and ready. In addition to the shortcomings that many NATO members face on their kind of overall defense spending, several also lag in their bilateral support for Ukraine. Deputy Assistant Secretary Cooper, which countries could and should provide more assistance to Ukraine, and how does the Biden administration engage with them to ensure that they are pulling their weight?
Thank you, Congresswoman Wagner. I would say that, first of all, it's important to note that our NATO allies are pulling their own weight and their fair share in terms of supporting Ukraine, and we see tremendous support in terms of near-term a provision of support on the immediate battlefield, but also we're seeing more and more allies actually investing in long-term support with billions of dollars in multi-year commitment packages, which are really important. The areas where we see less support and where we have a lot of private, quiet conversations because of the country's policies tend to be outside of Europe. In regions where countries are not willing to be vocally in support of Ukraine, but sometimes quietly will agree to provide donations without publicity. But those are much more challenging conversations, but they're conversations that we're having at the highest levels of the U.S. government.
Thank you. Deputy Assistant Secretary Cooper, keeping with you, a little earlier you mentioned ground-launched small diameter bombs as an alternative to ATACMS that the U.S. has agreed to provide. However, I don't believe these will be delivered to Ukraine's armed forces before October, is my understanding. With Ukraine's counteroffensive underway, the critical time is now, not in 4 months. Why would we wait until October to provide critical longer-range systems rather than provide ATACMS now?
Thank you for that. In terms of the capabilities that we're providing to Ukraine for their immediate needs, we're always looking at every possible opportunity. And we always have to weigh the question of effectiveness. Will it work on the battlefield, and are there alternative capabilities? In this case, you're absolutely right, ma'am, that the ground-launched small diameter bomb will not arrive until later this fall. But what we are seeing on the ground today is the employment of various long-range UAV systems, as well as the Storm Shadow system that the UK has provided, which both have that range, and in the case of Storm Shadow, also significant payload.
There's nothing we could do to move that time frame up at all?
My colleagues in the Acquisition and Sustainment Organization have been working to try to move up the ground-launched small diameter bomb time frame. We absolutely agree that we would like to do that. But so far, that the earliest is this fall that we have heard. And in the meantime, we'll keep looking for other capabilities. Within our own stocks, there are availability challenges with certain capabilities.
I just want to reiterate in my few minutes, seconds left here that the counteroffensive is now. Now is our moment, and we have to do whatever we possibly can to provide the Ukrainians with the necessary armament, weaponry to try and finish this. So I thank you for your work, and I thank you for the chair's indulgence, and I shall yield back and submit the rest of my questions, Mr. Chairman, for in writing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner.